Next we turn, this week and next, to humour, satire and other archival recordings to mark how we've covered politics over the decades.
Any mission or sense of mission we had at that time was really to try and do something for peace, to bring reconciliation.
This is Charles Kelly, co-founder and co-editor of Dublin Opinion for almost 5 decades, and launching Dublin Opinion in the middle of the Irish Civil War in 1922.
The politicians' response in the main was that they did laugh. They were rarely, if ever, as far as I knew, annoyed by anything we did. And they never felt we were letting the politicians down as a body.
Another target for Dublin Opinion was the civil service.
You asked for a meeting, Mr. Arnold?
Yes. Our duty is to set up a department to add 2 and 2.
That should be easy. One reasonably educated man should be able to do it. Shall we say 1 clerical officer?
Well, he would do for the actual addition, but we must record that the addition has been made.
Good. Another clerical officer.
Then, of course, in the public interest, we must have somebody to check that the addition has been accurately made and correctly recorded.
That means, shall we say, a minor staff officer?
He would be sufficient, but as there will be a great many 2s and 2s to add and subsequently record, we shall need a records officer to store the addition cards and the record books in which the operations are recorded.
Or shall we say 3 writing assistants and a clerical officer with, say, a minor staff officer?
Well, we've got so far, but we shall need 1 officer of higher standing to correlate the work of the branches and generally exercise supervision to prevent waste of public time. We'll make it 1 higher executive officer.
And, of course, a messenger.
2 messengers. We have to remember annual leave and unavoidable absences through illness or other cause. The work must go on.
We must take that into account, too, in arriving at the numbers of staff of other grades. For example, the writing assistant and the clerical.
Agreed. What have we got now?
3 writing assistants, 3 clerical officers, 2 minor staff officers, a higher executive officer, and 2 messengers.
Well, let us treat that as a basic minimum. We must provide now for the expansion that will come as the work of the department grows. We must have trained personnel to meet that natural expansion, and we must provide for such exigencies as annual leave and absence owing to illness, accident, or other unavoidable cause.
Supposing we increase the numbers in lower grades?
That would be the most economical procedure. We can call upon them in times of emergency to perform the duties of the grade immediately above them.
Let's see now. To meet natural expansion, annual leave, accidental absences, etc., shall we make it 10 writing assistants? No, better make it the round dozen. 8 clerical officers, 3 minor staff officers, 2 higher executive officers, and 4 messengers.
Very well. Though I think that as far as natural expansion is concerned, we're cutting it a bit fine. Still, our watchword must be economy.
They came on the political scene in Ireland at a time when there was great need for reconciliation. There was tremendous bitterness between treaty and anti-treaty factions.
This is Frank Kelly and something of his humour in a moment.
The effect and the power of the cartoon can never be underestimated. It's infinitely more powerful than 1,000 words of prose, or perhaps 2,000 words of prose.
I would appeal to all supporters of the Ballykilferret Gumbean Party.
And this is Frank Kelly's own contribution to Irish political humour.
To stand firm in their political convictions. If some long-haired dropout in a pair of sneakers confronts you and says, "What are your politics?" you look him straight in the Adam's apple and say, "Whatever you say yourself, sir." Or better still, if he asks you whether you're a Gumbean or not, you just hit him a glancing blow with a qualified maybe. These weirdos and dropouts must be let know that the Ballykilferret Gumbean Party may or may not take abuse lying down. Now, there has been a lot of talk lately about what is known as equality of opportunity. Now, I ask you, how could you have what is known as a good job if everyone else's job was just as good as yours? Remember, equality of opportunity could mean that this entire country could slide into total democracy. So remember that the Ballykilferret Gumbean Party needs you. And also remember that one day you might need the Ballykilferret Gumbean Party. You never know. when you might need a favour. Thank you.
Elsewhere in the archives, Frank Kelly talked about the importance of political satire.
So I think satire is a necessary kind of purgative within the political mind and life of a nation. The problem with satire and with humour in general is that the more you talk about it and the more cerebrally you talk about it, the more boring it sounds and the more unfunny. It's like analysing any humour. Once you dissect a joke, it's just dissected and it has no surprise elements in it, because the basic ingredient of all good humour is irony. And that's the value of satire. If you can point out the apparent and sometimes not so apparent contradictions of political life, you can keep people aware of the possibilities of serious error politically.
Fianna Fáil got into office last year by promises which they must themselves know were incapable of fulfilment.
This is an example of how voters were persuaded, or otherwise, in 1933. The speaker is W.T. Cosgrave, then leader of Cumann Nail.
They have suddenly sprung a general election, pretending that they have performed all that they undertook. If in fact that were true, or if even 100th part of it were true, there need be no election at all, because no good citizen could oppose a government that had done so much in the short space of time as 10 months, as Fianna Fáil has claimed.
W.T. Cosgrave. Jump on 40 years when his son, Liam Cosgrave, was Taoiseach in the 1970s.
Good evening. It's a great pleasure for me to come here this evening to say a few words in favour of Hall's Pictorial Weekly.
This, of course, is not Liam Cosgrave, but a very telling caricature of Cosgrave, his vocabulary and voice, by Eamon Morrissey from the archives of Hall's Pictorial Weekly.
As you know, Mr. Hall, or Frank as I call him in private, missed no opportunity to give me a bit of publicity on the show. I owe it all to him that I became such a popular figure with the general public. Sometimes it was a bit embarrassing. Indeed, I asked him to lay off several times. People are beginning to talk, I told him. But he wouldn't hear it, no. No minister, he said, he always treated me with great respect, which is more than some of his colleagues could say. Or mine either. No minister, says he, I am determined to see that you get what is coming to you. And Mr. Hall is a man of his word. I often thought I got more than was coming to me, but there was no stopping him, though God knows I did my best. His enemies and mine said I paid him to do it, but he never took a single penny. What I was after on the Minister for Hardship was his apparent lack of confidence in himself on television.
Eamon Morrissey from a broadcast discussion talking about his approach to these sketches.
And that being so, it's always there. It was there anyway. I mean, I was not inventing something. I was merely reflecting something that I had already seen. So, I mean, I suggest that the lack of confidence or whatever it caused in the viewers was not caused by us, but caused by the originals rather than the copies.
And among our voices next week, Dermot Morgan.
It's not malice, it's mischief. It feels malicious sometimes, especially when you're really enjoying it. But I think it's more mischief, you know. I think it's kind of pointing out what you're actually saying is that your local TD has got feet of clay.
So more on politics and the elections from our archives next Sunday morning. This morning's programme was based on original programmes by Damien O'Reilly, Ella Shanahan, Kevin O'Kelly, Miles Dungan, Frank Kelly, Frank Hall, John Roach, Des Keogh, Gay Byrne, Pauline McGlynn, Charles Kelly, Eamon Morrissey, Simon Deverley and myself. More voices from the archives at the same time on Sunday morning next. Thank you for listening this morning and good morning.